Today's show is brought to you by Hopsterette.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, Hopsterette.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsterette.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsterette.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsterette.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Calculating IBUs, what needs sanitizing post-boil, and tap water leaking into Wort chiller from an Immersion chiller. I messed that one up. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 304. I have time to fix the title. Hey, welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com. Click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call, leave a voicemail, be Todd's best friend at 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stewing. Joining me is my co-host, as always, every week. He's the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. The title, guys, is actually Calculating IBUs, what needs sanitizing post-boil, and tap water leaking into Wort from an Immersion chiller. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 304. I would get it right. I knew I would get it right at some point. Guys, how are y'all doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. How about you?
James, why aren't you on vacation yet? Get out of here. Go.
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready. Day and a half.
But you're not even leaving till Sunday, right?
Monday.
Okay, so you're not even hitting the road till Monday.
Right, yeah.
No, see, Todd, did you not chastise him like you do me every time I vacation? And it's like, if I, well, I guess technically he's not going to chastise you because you're gone through that whole week and the next weekend, right? You're not coming back till the following Monday. Because normally,
well, I'm coming back Friday.
Right, but I mean,
I just didn't think. I thought it'd be rude to call you both idiots. So
if I
well, I'm not coming back to work Friday, but I'm coming back home Friday.
Yeah,
I know. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Todd has this theory. Friends watching the show or listening through one of the many popular podcasting apps we're available on. Todd, if I vacation, like when we go to the beach, we usually check in on like Sunday and leave Thursday, and he's like, why don't you just stay till Sunday and then come home that night so you have a full week? Well,
well, not even if you don't want to drive home. At least if you're off, then check in on Friday or Saturday and stay till the next Saturday at the very least.
That's what
to get all those extra days of vacation in.
Because it's not PTO when it's weekend. It's like he's like, it's like free vacation. And but he doesn't understand. But the rooms aren't free. You got to still book the rooms, man. And in the summertime at the beach, it's not easy to get that room. But anyways, follow up for people who may have missed last week's episode. James, you're not going to be in town next week. You're going to Ruidoso, if I remember correctly. But you're not.
Yeah, but I'm gonna. If I have service, I'll jump in on the meeting because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just sitting on the porch. I'll probably be having a beer.
I want drunk James on.
Yeah, we like him. Yes. He's fun.
Can we get drunk? If we can get drunk James to call in, a deal. Otherwise, no, you're on vacation.
Yeah.
But you're now. Is there snow already in Ruidoso, or do you not have any? Have you even looked up
I think it's going to be like 60 degrees.
Like it is not today. Right now, it says it's 80. It says it's 80 at my house.
I know,
I'm getting 79.
So it's opening weekend of deer season this weekend, which, when you're hunting, it's cold when you hunt, right? Of course, but it's not going to be cold. What's the temperature going to be, Josh? Have you looked?
Well, allegedly, it has a 30% chance of raining up there in y'all's area on Saturday, Todd.
Okay.
Or pardon me, Friday, tomorrow. It has a
but it's early in the morning, I think.
But yeah, it's going to be muggy from what I can tell. It's going to be highs of like 77 to 80, high humidity.
Yeah, that is not hunting weather.
No, but the lows are like in the 40s. That's what's wild to me is it's going to be a 30 some odd degree swing every day. It's a lot.
It's going to be in the 50s.
Yeah, you're right. Well, not every day, but Friday's 75-40, but Saturday's 75-50. And Sunday's 84-62. That's not hunting weather.
No, that's not. 84. And I'm
global warming.
Damn global warming. I'm coming up tonight. I'm going to work at the office tomorrow. Start packing up those hops because the recipes for October are going out on Monday. I'm going to ship them out Monday, so I'm going to get most of that done tomorrow. I've been practicing, Todd, in the evenings. This year we're doing 90s movies love songs, right? Is what your friends wanted for the campfire songs. So So I just practiced Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. I just got that down.
Gosh.
It's a lot of Boys to Men in the old repertoire.
Do you know? You got to show me how to get on and do the podcast for next week.
What do you mean?
I don't think you're going to be around after the
weekend. Your friend, yeah, James, you'll get a kick out of this. The group chat for opening weekend, I'm already pissing these old men off.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm this close. For audio only listeners, I'm doing the little squinching inch symbol. I'm very, very close to securing some wrestling matches between me and all of Todd's friends.
Oh God, my brother just went off on Josh this morning because he was sending a
emoji reaction,
emoji thumbs up to a. So he's like, this chain is already long enough, and we don't need. I was like, okay, Karen, calm down, Karen.
Yeah. But then because boomers have to stick together, they're all like all of Pierce's friends are like, yeah, Josh.
They were actually picking on. They were actually taking your side.
Oh, it's hard for me to. I don't speak elderly, but I just assume
they were giving him hell. They were taking your side.
Okay. Well, I was just sitting there conniving to myself, like, oh, I'm gonna get so many money matches, and because look at me, I'm just old pudgy Josh. Oh, you guys could totally beat me up. Oh yeah, because they wrestled 35 years ago. Like,
God, I wish.
I like the race. On Seinfeld.
Yes, just like that. It's gonna be like that. You have the early I forget the coach's name, but yeah, that's Todd's role in all of this.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking side bets.
So yeah. All right, so yeah, James on vacation, opening weekend. Todd, what I got an R3 group chat. So tell me, I want to follow up. James, you brewed a dark lager. And Todd, did it not turn out how you wanted? Because it looks delicious.
Oh, it's so good.
But he called it.
I don't like it. I mean, I can drink it. It's just not. It's a little too bitter and hoppy for my taste.
Is that what? Because it was the text was short, and where I was like, what, did it not turn out how you wanted? And I guess, is it more?
I'm gonna go get one. Y'all talk.
Yeah. Is it maltier than you wanted? Because it looks delicious.
No, because I mashed it in the beta. I wanted to kind of have a drier tasting, kind of like a Guinness is a dry beer. It's not super sweet or anything like that. But I think that if I had eliminated the 30-minute hop edition and just did a 60 and then did one on the flame out, I think it probably would have turned out better for me. But I'm not everybody, people like the hop and the bitterness
Todd
and all that.
Loved it.
I think if I did it, here's the way I did the recipe. So if we were doing a 5-gallon recipe, I would do like 95% pills and malt. And then I would do probably, 5%, or I'd say 2.5%. Let me back off. Okay. 90%. I'm just thinking outright in my head. what I did on a 50-gallon batch, 50-gallon, excuse me, a 15-gallon batch is I did 28 pounds of Pilsen, 2 pounds of Carafa 1, and I did 1 pound of Carapils. And I did 3 hop editions of Tradition, 60, 30, and Flame Out.
Todd loves it.
So good.
He loves
I'm telling you.
And then I used lager yeast. And then I'm
gonna have to get your recipe because now I want to brew it. It's so good. I can't believe you don't like this, James. How can you brew such a good beer and then not like it, James? You guys are going to be drinking Coors Light and Miller Lite before I know it. Come on.
Oh, no. I did tell Todd that next batch is going to go. I'm going to go back and brew another batch of probably that Pressure Pills.
It's interesting because the head is really light, but it's such a dark beer.
Yeah.
I finally floated. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that Carafa 1 is, I want to think the Lovey Bond is 300 or 350, something like that. So anyway, it was a new recipe. If everybody likes it, maybe we can put it on the
in circulation
recipe of the month.
Yeah.
So
for the Trump Club.
We got to put the I got to put it on the tap, Josh. But I think I might be out of taps. I might have to take something off. I mean, I've got more beer than I have taps, and I have 9 taps at my house.
Feel free to take that double de Todd off. I'd be okay with it.
I love that beer too, and I'm definitely going to leave the Sterling on for you. So don't worry about that.
You still have that? You know what? Your dumb friends are going to be in town. I bet it floats like that.
Yeah, we brewed like 30 gallons of it. Remember?
Yeah, but those Luddites, they're going to move those pills.
Luddites.
Yeah. Neanderthals is what I call them.
I used to think that, but now I think they have better taste in beer than you do. So.
I'm looking forward to being there and trying it, James, because I said Todd is always my indicator of your beer, because you're always so hard on yourself. You're always like, it's not that great, and then Todd will be like, he's lying, it's really good, and then I'll try it and I'll be like, son of a gun, he's lying.
I have made really bad beer in the past.
You did one a while. It was a long time ago, like a year and a half ago,
or longer, like 3 years.
And a couple of my friends liked it. It was really. I mean, you were the first person to say it was too sweet. It was really sweet. It was a lager that didn't finish, and it was so funny because a couple of my friends really liked it, and I was like, yeah, y'all like sweet beers. Yeah.
Well, my pop and I, by that I mean me, I finally floated the Pressure Pills at his house. It was we were over there, not to inject myself, but I'm good at that on this show. It was my birthday yesterday, 37
yesterday, and your wife's birthday was the day before that.
Monday, yeah. So on Sunday we celebrated at my folks' house, and I got my cigar, and I'm going over the never-ending keg is what I was calling it for a while, but I jinxed it, and then I got a full pour, but it was the bottom, obviously, because it was, it wasn't as crystal clear as 95% of the keg was, and it was still delicious. I still choked it down, but it was good. And then after that, because on tap, I didn't want to potentially float anything else. We still had some spot on pills in the fridge from Thirsty Planet, and they're the guys who do Thirsty Goat. So I had that. It was a Pilsner day. Lately, a lot of Pilsner for me, and Pilsner and Kolsch, man.
Yeah, blah blah blah. So, how about that breakfast stout, though? Isn't it time? I mean, it seems like you're passing your date on this or something.
I don't know if we have all the recipe or all the ingredients for me to take home. I mean, you told me.
We've got mare solder, we've got roasted malt,
flaked oat. Do we have the oats?
Yeah, we have lots of oats,
okay.
And you could buy oats in the grocery store.
Well, that's why you know what, you're throwing me under the bus, but your Alzheimer's is kicking in. Last week or Friday or whenever we talked about this on the phone, because I said tomorrow we're going to determine some future recipes for Trump Club, and while we're doing that, I'm going to make a list of what I could take home to brew for the breakfast stout. I don't make that face at me. You're going to be
what does that have to do with oatmeal?
No, the flaked oats are part of it. I was going to see what we had or what I needed to get.
No, I was just saying you could buy the oats in the grocery store if you need to, but you don't need to because we have tons of them.
Is that the same difference? Flaked oats and dried
oats? That's what Quaker oats are.
Oh, son of a gun!
They're flaked oats. They're the same thing. Yeah.
There's a guy who talks about just disparaging comments on Reddit about us. It's the first question after we do the listener feedback part.
Yeah.
But I was bringing up like one of the comments on Reddit was something about we don't know anything we're talking about, and I keep giving that guy evidence every week after week. I keep giving that guy evidence for his case that I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, yes, we're breakfast stout, Todd. When I leave Monday from headquarters, I'm going to take home enough to make a 10-gallon batch. Or I guess I could do 15, and then we could do 10 in the G40 and 5 in the mash and boil, or 5 in the. Because I would like to give. The last couple of years have been James having to drink it when he goes over to Todd's house. You haven't had a keg, and you've given me so much beer. I need to find a way to do a 15-gallon batch. So. And my pop still.
Or just do 2 10s and then you'll have extra.
2 10s actually makes more sense. We'll do a double brew day on the same system.
Yep.
That is a great idea. So all that then, I did, spoiler alert, say it's kind of feedback and it's also kind of a question, but it qualifies as feedback too. So with that being said,
It's time for listener feedback.
and it's from our buddy Jonathan Marute up in Fort Worth, the Marute Minute, but it's not really the Marute Minute because it's sort of feedback, sort of question. But anyways, let's get to it, Jonathan.
I have to say, this isn't feedback. He says it's not feedback.
Well, I just saw in the transcription the word feedback, and then I saw some of his part. Let's just listen to it.
Hey, Josh, it's Jonathan up in Fort Worth. I don't have any feedback for you this week, but I do have a question.
Oh, it's the first question.
Hot on the heels of you guys mastering pressure fermentation, I thought I would ask you a question about mash hopping and whether you guys have mastered that yet or even tried it. I haven't tried it yet, but it's something that I'm interested in doing for my IPAs. I know this is probably a question for Todd since I know Josh, I know you don't really like the IPA. So, Todd, maybe you have some thoughts on mash hopping and adding hops to the mash to enhance the flavor of IPAs. I'd love to hear your experiences or thoughts with that. Thanks.
I was muted. It's bad when I decide to mute myself. I was saying some curse words about Todd because, I'm not going to edit it out because that takes too much work. But I saw feedback. I hardly ever when I don't have time, I don't listen to them. I read the transcription.
It just cracks me up. You do the whole listener feedback, and he says, I don't have any listener feedback.
I'm going to edit it out to say I have listener feedback. That's what I'm going to edit it to do. Anyway, stop laughing. So James was shaking his head. No, you're not. Mash hopping is not something you're interested in, nor think you'll ever do. Probably. Correct.
I don't see what the difference would be between that and first wort hopping, but I could be wrong. Maybe somebody can chime in the comments that knows more about it. I don't.
And then that would be appropriate listener feedback. See, I was just setting it for the future comments, Todd. But he did call you out specifically, Todd, because you are, of the three of us, the one brewing IPAs, the one enjoying IPAs. Do you see a reason that you'd ever implement it or use it into your brew day? Is it something you're willing to try? You're also probably the most experimental of the three of us, that you're willing to try things. Although you haven't done the brew one day, do the boil like the next day, or however that bet was we made like 2 years ago. I get questions about that sometimes. But Jonathan's question, let me stay on track. For mash hopping, is that something you're into or would be into?
I mean, I would certainly be willing to try it. I've never done it. I don't know. I mean, we covered it slightly a few weeks ago, I believe. It came up, and I remember doing a little Google search on it and looking into it, and it's interesting. I just, I don't really know anything about it.
Yeah, see, and here's where I feel terrible. I had put it on there thinking listener feedback, the part that I did read in the transcript's going to be quick or blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you're right. This whole thing was just a cluster because it wasn't a feedback. It was a question. And it's a question on something none of us do. So that sounds about par for the course. I'm gonna still give him leave it on the show, not edit it out. We need the time filler, Lord knows. But I do feel bad because I don't have anything to contribute to it. I don't think of a style, James, that I would brew that it would benefit. And
well, I mean, it would definitely lead to the aroma. It'd be like whirlpool hopping. When we hop in the whirlpool, I do it between 170, 180 degrees. I don't know the utilization. I don't know how good that would work.
Wouldn't it? I mean, I would think it would just boil off. Even though you're adding it at a lower temperature, would it boil off in the boil? I mean, I don't know anything about it. I have no
that's a
idea.
good point. I don't know. You may be right. You know, are you scrubbing the flavors off in the boil after that? I just don't. I don't know enough about that to give an educated answer. But you're certainly not going to create any bittering units because you got a boil for that to happen. So
there you go.
that'd be good if somebody out there listens that does that. Chime in and let us educate us on this.
You know, it'd be
I think it's just that people have decided to add hops at every single stage, including serving beer. So, you know, they have the thing now where it goes through the hops and then refilters it while they're serving the beer. So it's the last place that people could put hops. So people have to try it.
Actually,
that's my theory.
I infuse the grains in the hops before I mill them. So before I mill them, I do an infusion. It's the stage. Follow me on TikTok for more advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of IBU and all that stuff, it kind of segues in. We do have 3 questions that I took intentionally as questions. Our first question comes from our buddy Nathaniel, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Nathaniel wrote, "Hey Josh, funny enough, I discovered Homebrew Happy Hour years ago from a Reddit comment that you have mentioned on air before. It wasn't very flattering. However, it did get me to check out and subscribe to your podcast. All press is good press. You can thank Reddit for that. As a newbie, I want the game's thoughts on IBU and what determines the final number. If I am using more bittering hops for the full boil, is that what mostly controls the final IBU number? Is the easiest way to lower or raise the IBU, decreasing or increasing the total ounces of hops I use during the boil, or just overall hops for my batch? Do hops used for dry hopping go towards the final IBU? Thank you for considering my question, and do yourself a favor. Don't invest too much emotion in Reddit comments. Cheers, Nathaniel. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't invest any emotions or time. I certainly don't text the guys in our group chat at night going, "Can you believe what they said about me?" I've never done that before. I do. Yeah. All press is good press. Thanks for finding us on a Reddit thread. And it was, I had to ask him which Reddit comment. I won't say it again on here, but because there's been so many where I'm like, that son of a gun, I can't believe they're talking about us. But that's the nature of the internet. But James, IBUs, bittering units. First off, I'm not gonna lie, I've never calculated. I always just trust whatever when I'm inputting into either your recipes or something into Brewer's Friend, I just trust the number that it tells me based off of what I'm using. I've never put more thought into it than that. IBUs.
I think all 3 of us do that. You know, Brewer's Friend is a great resource. You know, when you're building a recipe, it's going to calculate, and that IBUs is bittering units, international bittering units. So that's hops that's been converted by boiling into bittering units, and that's the potential for bittering units is that alpha acid percentage on the front of the package. So if it's 5, that's the IBUs. So anything after the boil, you can't count. So that's the way I look at it. If the IBUs are strictly hops that's been converted into bittering units that contributes to the bitterness of the beer. That's my take on it. And that's the way I use it when I create recipes.
And do you think that sometimes people conflate IBU with aroma or flavor hops? You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. I think a lot of times people think that's the same thing.
Right.
But, keep in mind, the longer you boil, the more the bittering units. Now, each hop profile has a potential of so many.
Okay.
So that gas tank's going to be empty if it's a low. But if you add like a 60-minute, the same amount of hops at a 60 minutes is going to create more bittering units than the same amount. If you like the beer that Todd's drinking, that's a new recipe, a black lager, or what'd you call that, Todd? An alt stout?
Oh, that's no, because it's
he did.
Yeah, instead of alt stout, which is Old Town, it's the alt stout because it kind of tastes between a cross of a alt and a stout. I said an alt and a porter, but it doesn't. The word doesn't work as well.
Alt porter, alt stout.
Alt stout.
So I did the same hop additions at 60-30 and at flame out. So you can't count the flame out. It's not going to create anything because I turned the cooler on. hit the whirlpool, turn the cooler on. So it's not going to create any bittering units. But the 60, the same hop addition at 60 creates more bittering units than at 30. So you can do one or two things. You can use a calculator like on Brewer's Friend to calculate the IBUs, or you can either add more or less hops or add more or less boiling to that hops. Either way you want to do it, you're going to achieve the same goal of bittering units. You want less, use less hops or boil less. You want more, use a higher alpha acid hop or boil it for the full 60 minutes because that's the full potential you're going to get out of that hop profile.
So is it possible to have a relatively low IBU IPA that still punches you in the face with aroma and flavor hops?
Oh yeah, you just
that's what hazies are basically.
Well, that's what I was segueing
exactly
to.
right.
Was isn't
or
that
a New England style IPA?
Right. So the New England
just all aroma hops.
Right. So it very little for the bittering effect, and they're getting the juiciness and all that all post boil or in the boil, not necessarily post boil.
Yeah. If I was going to do something like that, let's say a creamsicle IPA. Or a creamsicle New England style IPA, which is low bittering but lots of flavor and lots of aromatics. I do everything after the end of the boil and then dry hop.
When you said creamsicle, you cringed a little. I saw it. I'm gonna have to clip that and zoom in, enhance to show your face. You didn't even want to say it. That was fantastic. Todd, when you like your Loki hazy that's on tap. Isn't that a hazy? Isn't that what you're calling? Is that's pretty low IBU, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's pretty low IBU.
I think it's less than 30.
And it's very good too.
I'd say of all the IPAs you've brewed, it is pretty good.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, you get, as James is saying, the longer you boil a hop, the more bitterness you get out of it, and then you virtually stop getting bitterness, I believe, at 170 or 175. I mean, you're always going to get some, but you get very little below 175, and you get you don't get a substantial amount really below boiling. So, I mean, to answer his question specifically, I would say if it really depends on that alpha acid, as James said. The other thing I think you got to really watch when you're using calculators is are using recipes is a lot of times they may or may not tell you what the alpha acid is, and alpha acids can vary a lot between within the same type of hops. So when you're plugging in that recipe, you really want to plug in what the alpha acid is if you want to try to stay within a certain bitterness range. So let's say that you're brewing a recipe and they say add 3 ounces of hops in it, whatever the type of Amarillo or whatever the type is. And, on that recipe, they may or may not tell you what the bittering is. If they tell you it's, 18, and then you get the package of hops and it says 12 on it, then you want to write that into the program so that it calculates the bitterness properly, because there's huge variations within the same exact hop in how much bittering it has depending on the crop that year.
Yeah,
so,
one of my shortcomings with Chub Club was forgetting to put that on the badge, because when we were in the ingredient side, we had labels that we'd stick on there and all that. And I didn't want to waste your paper and go find this template. So I've just been handwriting, but I'm forgetting to put the alpha acid number. And so many a times people are messaging me. I'm like, oh, son of a gun. Yep. Let me get it for you. Like on your ESB, it was 6. I just remember that because I just answered the person, because I was like, I am sorry, I forgot to include that. I'm going to start writing it on the badge. And what I need to do is probably start putting it in the Patreon post itself when I have that info, so that people have a centralized location to go find it. But it's a learning process for me as I've becoming the recipe man, Todd. But yeah, you're like you said, within the same crop or style, not necessarily like harvest from a single crop, we have a variance of, some of your East Kent Goldings could have been 6 and others were 5.4 or 4.8s, or I mean, the number does vary enough to where I didn't realize the effect it does have. I didn't realize it was that it does make a big difference.
Yeah, and I've noticed here lately those true numbers are always lower than the average.
Really?
That you would see in the Brewer's Friend calculator. When you pull that hop up, it gives you an average number. but you really need to put in what the actual crop is. And here lately, I've noticed more oftentimes than not that number, the true number that of the hops that we're using has generally been lower than the average.
Oh yes, I've noticed that too. When I put it in his the ESP into Brewer's Friend, absolutely, theirs was like 9 or something. It was high. It was higher. I was like, oh, why do you think that is? Do you think they're covering? Oh, I mean, it wouldn't be covering their bases.
Like Todd said, it's yearly crop yields different. Because they have to have all those tested after that particular year's crop of hops. They have to be tested, and that's the percentage. So I don't know. It's just
one thing
you got to know what you're brewing and use a good calculator if you want to get that good balance.
Something Nathaniel mentioned when I had followed up about which Reddit comments are you talking about? He had mentioned, like, if he asked for James specifically, no offense, Todd, if he was trying to make one of his favorite recipes, and it was a you said creamsicle. Now I'm thinking cream. What was it? It wasn't a Kolsch. It was a blonde, or it was a pale ale. But he wants to make it a little bit more bitter. Add some slight bitterness to his existing favorite recipe. He was wanting more tips from you, James, on what you would do to make an existing recipe more bitter.
Well, I just add a little bit more hops
for the boil.
If he likes that recipe and he likes the hop profile, just add a little more hops, but do less is more rule, and then just experiment so you get the flavor balance you want.
Yeah,
definitely do a 60-minute boil when you're doing that.
I have future actual feedback, not me mistaking Jonathan's voicemail for feedback kind of feedback. A lot of people did write in even more people giving us feedback on the 30-minute boil thing. It's incredible, James, how many people do 30-minute boils in our community. It's a lot of people.
Wow.
I know a ton of people do that, and then a ton of people told me I didn't know what I was talking about and other stuff like that. But for Nathaniel's question, like you said, I agree with that sentiment. The less is more method is the best approach, so that you're not creating some catastrophically bitter pale ale.
Yeah, you still want to have something, even if it's not where you want it to be. The end result is it drinkable? So if you go. Let's say you go to something that's 15 alpha acid versus most of the stuff like German Traditions 4, 5. You don't want to go that much more and try to use the same. Definitely use a calculator. That's my best advice. There's free hop utilization calculators online. You can use that. Brewer's Friend's got it built into the recipe calculator. Use that, and then just do incremental small steps to get the product you want.
Absolutely.
At least it's always going to be drinkable. If you go overboard and it's too bitter to even drink, you just wasted time and money.
And the spin on that is you're brewing your favorite recipe already, and you're just refining it to a point that it is perfect for you. It's a win-win-win in my book.
Yeah. As long as you do little steps, you can always back up if it's just a little bit too much.
Right. You said, I didn't realize that, the discrepancy can be as high as from 15 to 5. Yeah, that's going to be a big jump. It's going to be a pretty good discrepancy. Or even, if your hops was tradition and it was 1 ounce at the full boil, don't jump from 1 ounce to 2 ounce, right? Like,
you could do 1.5.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like baby stepping.
Yeah, just if you're guessing, guess on the less side than you do on the more side, and you'll have better results. I think I that's what I do, because in the past I've went too much. Every single time I've done that, I've regretted it.
Have you?
Yeah.
What did other people say though? Because again, you're very rough on yourself.
I think the beer that I brewed this alt stout. I think if I'd have left the 30-minute out. And maybe did a split mash. I mashed at 148 on this one. I think if I'd have done 148 and then bumped it up for 20 minutes at like 155, 159, maybe leave the same hop schedule and that'd been a different beer, or leave it at 148. Just don't do the 30-minute. Just do a 60 and then do a flame out at the hop edition. I think me and my taste, I think I probably would have liked it better, but hey, it's not what I like. It's what everybody else likes.
And when you, real quick,
thank you. I like that.
Just say, I can't wait to try it. Todd told me on more than one occasion, this beer is incredible. So I'm looking forward to it. But do you, Now, are you doing all digital, or when you're making notes in your brew day? Because like now, if you do that again, you're going to make those changes. Do you make that in the app, or are you doing handwritten notes still? How are you knowing for the next batch?
I did that in my head and wrote it down.
Okay. Well, I forgot how you operate now, because you're using Brewer's Friend for all your calculations.
Yeah. So I come up with a recipe. Sometimes I'll jot it down, and sometimes I'll just build it as I'm upstairs. And I kind of, we've all been doing this for quite a while now. And, brewing, I love making new recipes. Todd's been real good at it. Need to get you on that too. And once you start brewing and building recipes, you kind of have a certain way that I structure them now. Used to, when I first started building recipes, I just thought, I just throw this in. It doesn't work that way. You want a good base malt, and then you want your adjuncts or your roasted malt, and I always put a little protein malt in there because it gives it a real good, thick, creamy head. If you wanted to do a super light beer, just cut that out. Just do base malt, 1 hop addition. But this one, I kind of wanted to do something between an alt beer and a stout. And then I did that, and I thought, well, this is not really something that I would want to drink a lot of. So
that's hilarious. Did you what did you pitch, by the way, with the 3470?
I used the new lager yeast that we got from More Beer. Todd,
it starts with
the name of it?
Is it not? It's a strain from the wine hyphen stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember. Let me look it up. The name. I'd have to go.
Right. But did you see? So the California Common did come in this week, the cable car, and I got you some Harvest.
I haven't opened it, but I appreciate that.
You're going on vacation, so it'll be sitting up there for you. It's fresh.
Yeah.
It's as fresh can be, as Imperial always does. But that's awesome. I made sure. I think I got them to send you 9 packs. So have at it. Yeah, you could. Yeah. Just because in future months when I forget, you might still have a couple left, and you'll be like, oh, okay, it's okay. I'm not going to be too upset. Because every time you're like, hey, get me some Harvest. I'm like, yeah, James, I got you. A year later, cool. I got you Harvest. Anyways, Nathaniel, thank you so much for submitting the question. A good time to remind you, if and when you leave us a question, you get a $15 gift card if it's through text or the submitted question link at homebrewhappyhour.com, or it's a $25 gift card when you leave us a question, not feedback, like our friend Jonathan did earlier in the show, to 325-305-6107. Our second question of the show is from our buddy Will. It is a text message at 325-305-6107. Will wrote, quick cue. Do you sanitize your hands before transfer to fermenter and handling your pouch of Imperial? Will is a Trub Club member. He just joined. He's new to liquid yeast. And one of the things he noted on one of the videos we did, Todd, you are a fan of, you open the pouch. First off, you always soak the pouches in sanitizer before you're about to open them, because the next part I'm explaining, I think this is why you do it. When you open them and your hands are sanitized too, you dump it, and there's always a little bit left up there. And instead of like shaking it, you take your tubing that you're using for transferring from the boil kettle into your fermenter, and you fill up the pouch basically, and you're trying to get all of that goodness sludge out of there and down. That's why you're sanitizing your hands and the pouch, correct?
I mean, it actually, if you look on the pouch, it actually says sanitize the pouch. Yep. So,
well, what about your hands too, though?
When I'm getting ready to do all that, I'm sanitizing everything. So my hands are in the sanitizer quite a bit. So, does that really sanitize your hands all the way? I mean, it probably doesn't hurt. It probably helps, but I don't know that I still wouldn't touch anything with my hands, even though I've had them in sanitizer. I would, I don't, like you said, I'd put some of the liquid in and then dump that out, but that liquid's not really touching anything but the inside of that pouch, unless you get a little too full and it, a little bit drips down the side. But all in all, yeah, I just sanitize everything.
Yeah, and let's throw over that, because again, he just joined and he's pretty new and he's jumping right into all grain. That's the context for him, and he likes the idea of using liquid yeast. But all this advice we're about to give is regardless of whatever yeast. This is just good hygienic practice. When you're transferring your tubing between your kettle, if that's what you're using. Some people just do gravity, but like for Todd's videos and all the ones we've done, Brow Todd, Cooler Brew, you're always using a tubing between vessel to vessel. That's been submerged and sanitized before you connect it to it. The actual receiving vessel, the fermenter, is thoroughly sanitized and no rinse sanitizers. They use up at headquarters Sandstep, where my pop and I use Iota for. We won't argue about which one's superior here. They're both
Sandstep.
So Todd
certainly doesn't stain anything.
Yeah,
no reason to argue.
No reason to argue. Todd's right. Sandstep is the superior cleanser. I think it says it on there. Superior sanitizer. But between those two things, that's the most critical. What I can't think of anything that has to go in sanitizer as well. The airlock that you're gonna be using if you're using an airlock on your ferment.
I use scissors when I cut the corner of the pouch open, so I'll sanitize the scissors too while I'm soaking the bags.
What is their thought behind, sanitizing the pouch because it could have particulates on the outside, and when you
it
open
could have something on the outside. It's just good insurance.
Right. Well, because I know, like, we live in this Venn diagram or gray area of taking it very seriously and also not sweating it, and we're in this like middle bubble. Because I've never seen Todd. You've told me before on brew days, hey, go sanitize that, and I do it, or we need to sanitize this because it's collective. We're doing it together. But I've never seen you like break sweat. Like, wait, is that sanitized or not? Like you kind of have that relax, don't worry, have a homebrew vibe. But you also want to make sure the things that are sanitized because your batch will get ruined if it's not, right?
Yeah, I just sanitize everything.
So you're just just the rule of thumb, just sanitize everything.
Yeah. And it's not a bad idea to have, a 5-gallon bucket of sanitizer ready to go. And with our system, it's good to run that through the Hermes coil, because let me tell you, you don't clean that and flush that out, it becomes very bad. It stinks.
Vile.
It's vile.
Yeah, I've only heard you describe it. I wasn't there. But
Todd came out of his office one day. What the hell is that smell? And that was a Hermes coil that wasn't flushed and cleaned.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any odor from mine the last few times when I brew now, because I always, not only do I clean it, but run really hot water through it and for quite a while, run it through all the pumps, everything, but I also leave it open. So what happens is if you close it, a lot of times you'll open that up and it'll actually shoot air and stench out because it's been fermenting in there the whole time.
Yeah, I did that one day. Hit the wall.
Pressure fermenting.
Oh, y'all have done pressure fermentation before.
Yes,
in the Hermes coil.
Yeah.
I did.
We've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Ew. We'll one of the things that he had complimented us on, and specifically our community, which I'll give kudos to our community first, is just how he felt confident jumping into all grain brewing for his first brewing endeavor at all, because of how approachable our community is, and we are with what he was calling them dumb questions. I was like, they're not dumb until Todd Burns tells you that they're dumb. but like beginner questions or whatever, I like people asking them because, like you said, it is very straightforward. Look, just keep everything sanitized, and then you don't have to worry about, like, when you're anything that is going to be involved with your fermentation, throw it in the sanitizing bucket. That is what we do. We have a 5-gallon bucket that we keep sanitized. Some people keep that spray bottle. They'll make a spray bottle the morning of their brew day of their sanitizer.
That's a great idea.
And then they'll just throw it. That's what Jonathan was doing, wasn't it? When he came to brew with us, Todd?
Yeah. He likes
He's a fan of the
bottles. I mean, we always, one of the reasons we always have sanitizers, we're always a 5-gallon bucket is that, we always sanitize our fermenter if we're using the big ones, which we always use the big ones now. So we actually have 5 gallons, but we probably threw away 5 or 10 more because we just didn't know what to do with it. So we've always got plenty of sanitizer. Always.
And on kegging day, 5-gallon bucket goes a long way of getting your keg sanitized. And again, with that too, Will, I told Will when it comes time to keg, because he got a keg kit from us, that it's the same principle, right? Like anything that the beer at that point is going to be touching, you sanitize it. Purge it with CO2. Make sure it's sanitized keg. Purge it with CO2 when you put wort or your beer in there. It's not wort anymore. When it's put the beer in there, it should be good to go. It's
yeah. I mean, it's I've argued this for years in my mind and with others that, you know, I remember one time we were at a homebrew conference and this guy was like, "Oh my gosh, you got to sanitize your lines. You haven't sanitized your lines yet." And I'm like, I don't think the beer's going to go bad when it passes through the lines into the glass and you drink it, right? So I think sometimes it's kind of silly. People can get to the point where it's silly, but you know, do you need to sanitize a keg before you put beer in it? I always do, but technically it has alcohol in it. It probably wouldn't. If it was a keg with, you know, done with clean water, it's probably fine, but I just go ahead and sanitize it.
Are you contesting that if an infection occurs in the keg, it was more likely due to an infection in the batch, not from that keg? Okay. I love some listener feedback on that because, I'm almost willing to bet $5. Like I'm on the fence with that because that just doesn't sound right to me. It seems like I've heard people say that they got their beer infected in the keg. Like, so you're not saying it's impossible.
They may have, but
okay.
I think it has alcohol in it, you know, and it's a lot more stable than it is when it's wort and you've cooled it down and you're putting yeast in it. I mean, that's, you know, I think sometimes too that infections don't show up very strong in the beginning and they get worse as they go along.
One that comes to mind specifically is diacetyl, and that seems to happen. You know, like that keg we talked about. And it grew in the keg. I really believe that because we sampled that before we kegged it, and it was fine.
The lemon drop pilsner. Yep, we did. You're right.
So,
that was.
You know, it's set in a hot FedEx warehouse. So if you can imagine that, was that Portland?
Yeah, it was
Rhode
Portland.
Island?
It was Portland.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was Michael Ferguson who pointed it out to us. He was the one.
Yeah. Well, here's what's crazy is it was summer and it was cool, but that happened. If you remember that weekend, it was hot. It was almost 100 degrees over there sitting in that warehouse, that FedEx warehouse, because we rented that rental truck and went and picked up all the stuff.
Oh, you're right. That wasn't Portland.
It was
that
Maine.
It
was Maine.
That was Maine.
Is that Rhode Island?
Not Rhode Island.
Yeah, because I had to take all that
Rhode
crap back in my rental car before my wife and I went on a little mini vacation.
Yeah.
You had a Toyota. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Nissan Frontier pickup.
Nissan Frontier. That's my bad. Oh no, he did have the Toyota. We had the Nissan. You're right, because I remember thinking like, "Ooh, I like Frontiers." But you're right. It did. We sampled it the day you loaded it for the freight pickup, and we were happy with all the beer that we served that year.
Well, you know, we were forced carbonating, so we were having to taste it as we were carbonating to make sure it was right. And damn sure want to make sure it's right because it was going to be served at HomebrewCon. So I really think that whatever happened, how it got infected, it did it in the keg. But
I kind of regret that Michael Ferguson was the one who came. He came because he was a speaker that year, I believe, or at least he had floor access, and so he was early at our booth. He wanted to try our beer because he had such a good time the night before, and he tried it, and then that, you know, got me all flustered, and you had me to dump the keg. I kind of wish we would have had homebrewers there to see if any of them would have called us out, or if they would have been like, this new style James did with this lemon drop, I like it. You know, it's not common, but you know, it's the Rhode Island.
Well, we had a lemon drop that was good. It was the second.
It was on first
right?
day, correct? Yeah. And we floated it. It was one of the first ones we floated. Everyone loved that. Joe had a Mosaic IPA, maybe that was popular.
And then we had an ESB.
And then we had the ESB, and all of our beer. We went through the kegs the first day.
We brought 6 kegs and there were 2 of each. So two Mosaic, 2 lemon drop, and 2 ESBs.
Yeah. And we went through them very quickly. Well, the lemon drop, we only and people came up to the booth like, "Oh, you're already out." We'd only been open for like 5 minutes.
Well, you just see the people in the bathroom when I poured that down the toilet.
Did they think it was
what are you doing?
Oh, they saw you with the If I was in the stall next to you, I probably would have thought it was some dude throwing up. Like, already? It's only 8 a.m. That sound of blah 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 blah. Anyways, Will, just be clean, man. And but again, anytime, there is no question too big or small. leave us a voicemail for a $25 gift card at 325-305-6107, or you can text that same number, or like our last question of the day from our buddy Wayne B. Oh, pardon me. He was a text message too at 325-305-6107. He wrote, "No voicemail from me. LOL. I can't stand the sound of my voice." Me neither, Wayne.
Join the club.
Yeah. I do have a question, though. While chilling, 20 plus minutes into it, I discovered a fast dripping leak where my garden hose connects to the copper chiller. It was 20 plus minutes of tap water dripping into my wort. Is this batch ruined? There's no way for me to tell the volume of drips that went into the wort, but it must have been a lot. I feel dumb not catching the leak sooner. I feel dumb multiple times all day, every day, Wayne. It's just a lifestyle now. But don't agree with that, Todd. People see you. So y'all use RO as y'all's. We don't do water profiles. The three of us don't. Y'all use RO, but you're using groundwater when you chill. I'm sure there's been some leaks before into the.
Oh yeah, it's happened.
It happens, right? Now,
Yeah.
do you feel like it noticeably affected that batch?
No,
It can't,
didn't,
right?
It didn't hurt.
That's
anything.
not that it
No.
can't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna use the word.
Yeah,
can't.
you're fine.
Yeah.
And a lot of city
mean-
water's already treated, and it's fine.
And even the well water. I mean, think about it. When you're doing like a mini mash recipe and use an extract, a lot of times you add water to it, and a lot of people just add tap water. It's fine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And fine is such a broad subjective word. Don't flood my inbox people with, it's not fine because the whole reason. I mean, you can say whatever you want. I'd rather read y'all's angry comments in my inbox and on Reddit than the 1-star reviews. But yeah, I think this is also a much ado about nothing. It's in a good way, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't want to stress over things that now are out of your control. Obviously,
Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is it has happened to me. I'm always very careful to check it now.
Yeah.
Will it ever happen again? Yeah, at some
Yes.
point I'm gonna have a hose burst
Yeah.
or something's gonna happen, and I'm gonna pitch the yeast. I'm gonna finish the beer, and if it tastes like crap, then yeah, maybe it had an effect on it. But don't worry about stuff. I was going to say something else. Don't worry about stuff that you can't do anything about.
Absolutely. But I question now, because you say like, oh, I deal with it if it tastes bad. You're still serving that Sterling Pilsner. You haven't done anything about that.
Oh, I love that beer. It's a great beer.
think that's the problem with it, James. He had too much tap water dripping into it during the chilling. That must be what happened, because that beer is garbage.
It's good beer.
That's so brutal.
I think I'm tempted to just start brewing with nothing but Sterling going forward.
You want to? Oh my gosh, that would be I'm going to forget about this by April. That would be the best April Fool's joke if you brewed enough to fill all 9 taps with Sterling Pilsner at your house. And when I go stay with you,
Sterling Stout, Sterling IPA, Sterling
Kolsch.
Sterling Kolsch.
Yeah.
Oh, that Sterling Kolsch is going to be good.
Didn't we determine this? It was made to be a alternative for noble
Yep.
hops. It is so.
Yep.
It's the pseudo noble. It's the American Kolsch. Sometimes I hate living in 2022, but actually I love it. It's the best time ever to be alive.
Yeah, Todd, you definitely need to do a Sterling Kolsch.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah, that'll be how. Well, let's do Kolsch Cup 2023, and everyone has to use Sterling. That's. I'm gonna edit that out. I don't like how I said that. That I even said that. No, I'm not gonna edit that out. But yes, Wayne. Again, like I know, guys, these were pretty quick questions, but it's good to get that out, because we actually haven't talked about that. Because yeah, we don't use RO water when we're chilling. That's inefficient. You're not gonna go get a trough full of RO water, or I guess your RO tank couldn't support the volume that you need
won't
to chill.
make enough to,
and it would
for
be
circulation.
a waste. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Like the reason we're doing RO, and I mean, because somebody inevitably, I know for a fact, my inbox, someone will go, well, if it doesn't matter, then why don't you brew with tap water? No, what we're saying that
I
used to.
water.
right. But I'm saying though, y'all don't now, because the RO creates the base for not to be, unironically, because we don't do base profiles. We just do a clean palette and then brew on top of that, just so you're not messing with the.
Well, that's one less variable on the recipe and the brewing process.
Well, another thing too is if I brew with well water, my well has a lot of minerals in it, so I'm also going to have a lot of trouble with the boil, so that basically that element is going to cover up with stuff, with calcium and things like that. The coil, any kind of coil, any kind of element, all that stuff's gonna have issues when you start using tap water. So
right,
RO water is just nice and clean, and you don't have to worry about all that.
But also, what my point was going to be is that the drops are so negligible. Even if 20 minutes of drops is not gonna, it's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket to make the analogy that one time I got it right, going down rabbit trails and whatnot. It's just a drip. It's not like these. I can't imagine unless it was pouring.
Well, it could be a gallon, maybe. I don't know. It
you
could
really
be
think
a substantial amount?
A gallon in 20 minutes of.
Well, is it?
I'm going to get Wayne, I'm going to give you a $25 gift card if you just leave a voicemail with, actually, it was drip, 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 or whatever the amount was. Just leave us a voicemail.
So I'm going to start on the gift cards, like those types. We got to start. Maybe we could have a debit from your expense account or something, because you're getting pretty free with those.
Yeah. You've noticed when I'm saying everyone who leaves them, and I did a lot of recurring ones, and they've caught on. Everyone's like, wait a second, Black Friday's coming up. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna get all these different. And actually, funny enough, we're actually already running deals at techconnection.com. Don't wait till Black Friday. Go to techconnection.com. Look at the deals we've got going on right now. And every week leading up to Black Friday, we're going to have great deals on top of some additional stuff we're going to do that week. But I almost forget it's already November, even though it was just my birthday. That's wild to me, guys, that we're almost near the episode where we talk about our brew day or our brewing resolutions for the next year. And then I admit I didn't do any of the brewing resolutions that I said I wanted to do last year. So.
Nobody does.
Yeah, nobody. I didn't do any resolution. I was like, I'm going to be in great. I was in great shape in January of 2022. I'm like 12 pounds over that. So my resolution is to not get 12 pounds over where I am now. That'd be nice. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Wayne, thank you so much for submitting that question. Everyone on the show, guys, I appreciate y'all's time. James, please enjoy your vacation. If you try to get in on this meeting next week, I'm going to decline you. We're not letting you in. You need the time off.
Well, Gracie, me and Gracie are going to go. She's curled up under the desk right now.
I love it.
So, yeah, she'll be
I'm happy for you.
Good companion.
Hope you get good beer, just relaxation. You deserve it. Todd, opening weekend. You get me all weekend. We're gonna have fun. Let's try to get some wrestle matches between me and your friends. Let's make some money.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you all next week.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, where you can be Todd's best friend and leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107 for the best hops available online. Give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also get a free pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join our Trump Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.